More and more indie games are becoming popular, and this year there has been so many indie games that can definitely be recommended to you, including Balatro, Mouthwashing, Lethal Company, and many more. Indie games are providing game developers all over the world the opportunity to be very creative in terms of their gameplay, in terms of their storytelling, and much more. Garry and what he's doing with his team at Facepunch with creating their new game called S&box, this one game could bring a renaissance, something that many people have been looking for when it comes to a game like Garry's Mod since it's past its prime years. What is S&box? Well, S&box is a platform and an engine combined into one, which gives you access to thousands of games that are created by the community, but also to give you the opportunity to create games to put on the platform, get paid for them, and also possibly make a living off of it. These are many different things that Garry has decided he wanted to incorporate within S&box, as this was something that he wants to right his mistakes he made when it came to making Garry's Mod. Now, I do have to mention this because I know many people have talked about this numerous amounts of times, and with a name called S&box, yes, I'm talking about the game mode. Yes, it's a thing and it is being worked on. It was even stated by Garry in the first Steam blog post for the game since the page went up. S&box itself will not release until the S&box mode is in the game. So don't worry, it's gonna be there. You'll be able to play it. Give it some time. Moving on to the S&box editor, the thing that allows you to create games for the platform, I've heard nothing but very great things about it. And I know while some things might be a little bit more confusing for beginners, in terms of the experienced people who have worked on indie games on engines like Unity felt very at home with of what the S&box editor provides and its workflow, as it's very similar and akin to Unity's scene workflow. When it comes to the idea of the games and the tech demos that people have been providing on S&box, and also I've been trying myself, this is really awesome because this is the stuff that Facepunch has been showing off, all the awesome things that people are making on the platform and utilizing with the editor. But one of the biggest and newest additions to S&box is the Play Fund, which is the new monetization system that pays out creators for creating either games or maps on S&box. This is a big deal because many people have mentioned that if they are going to make things, what is the entire point if they're not able to get paid for them? And well, this is something that of course Garry has stated he also wanted to write when it comes to creating a game like S&box, compared to how he wasn't able to do that within Garry's Mod. But with the Play Fund, this allows many game developers the opportunity who create games on the S&box platform to garner a community and be able to keep it on the platform or possibly take it off, as they have a new standalone system that allows many people to go and create the games that they want on S&box and then export them to then possibly put on Steam. Another important thing is that this game is built on Valve's Source 2 engine. Now, this is a big deal because Facepunch is the first third-party studio to get access to the Source SDK tools and utilize it in their own game. Now, I do have to mention that this version of Source 2 at this point is completely different compared to the purest version of it when they got access the first time around in 2020. But many of the things that they have been incorporating are now a part of what it's called the S&box editor, which is many of the Source 2 SDK tools that are all streamlined right into the editor and utilized, including Hammer. But it also has a lot of other awesome features, including built-in multiplayer and VR support, which is another huge deal because the idea of creating a multiplayer game can be a little bit tedious and sometimes difficult depending on what engine you're using. But also the same thing for VR support, and you're able to create a game that has VR support, or the idea of having both VR and non-VR support at the same time in your game. Now, with S&box mentioning it's a spiritual successor to Garry's Mod, many hardcore Gmod fans are always going to think about modability and customization, as these are things that are staples within Garry's Mod. It's a game engine. You are able to fully customize what you can with creating your game. Now, with modability, there really hasn't been too much that I've seen personally being able to modify things, and I understand that this might be a turnoff for some people at the moment. But again, this is something that's completely in the air and really has not been fully mentioned officially yet. Again, it's a game engine. You're possibly going to be able to create a modding platform by coding it. You just have to do it by scratch, which again could be a turnoff for some people. Now, that kind of leads us more into bringing a renaissance. There's so many promises that are being made with this game, and I know many people have mixed feelings on it. Others are very excited and others are not as excited. The promises include being a spiritual successor to Garry's Mod, which is very big shoes to fill. And in terms of what I've seen and what's being provided, it's very interesting to see parts of the identity of Garry's Mod also be incorporated within S&box in terms of the S&box mode itself. Unfortunately, parts of those other aspects like using Valve assets or other things like that have already been mentioned that are not going to be a possibility because, of course, Garry decided that he did not want those to be a part of it in terms of the identity and what it's presenting. Other promises that are mentioned are the fact that it's a game engine and a platform that's easy to use and build games with, giving indie game developers the opportunity to be able to go and export these games to create them as standalone games. Or even better, if you decide to not do that and you just want to build them on the platform, you're able to go and get paid for your efforts and make a living off of it by providing content for S&box. Now, there is so many things that I would really love answers on myself, and I'm pretty sure many of you who are watching too, we're probably going to end up getting this as the game progresses in development. Personally, I like the idea of where it's going, even though originally it was a hot mess in terms of development and its history. The last 2 to 3 years are very fundamental to this game's development, as this game has been in development for a long time, around at least 7 to almost 8 years now. I hope that Facebook is able to provide what they're actually promising on with the idea of this, and as it could bring a whole renaissance of machinimas and videos and people creating content again like they used to back in the 2010 to 2015 PC gaming era. I've always wanted something like this, right? Again, a game like this from Garry, and it allows so many other games that you're able to create, and also so many games that you can play and have access to, be able to support other game developers and creators for. I think that's absolutely wonderful, and that's something that I'm on board with. What are your thoughts on this game? Let me know down in the comments below and what you think about this game. If you want to learn more about S&box, feel free to check out this video right here. Thank you so much for watching.